Welcome to the Reconnection Club podcast, the show that helps parents heal troubled relationships with their adult sons and daughters. I'm your host, psychotherapist Tina Gilbertson. Each week, I'll offer you compassion, clarity, and personal development tips designed to help you reconnect, not only with your child, but with yourself. Now let's get started. What do we mean when we talk about safety? Well, there's physical safety, which is about protecting our bodies from harm. If there's a tornado on the way, for example, seeking safety usually means heading for shelter underground. But there's another kind of safety which is about protecting our hearts and our minds. And for many of us, that's not quite as straightforward as physical safety. I'm talking about emotional safety. That might be a buzzword, but that doesn't mean it's not real and worthy of consideration. Our brains seem to be designed to alert us to threats to our social well-being, and those are the threats that make us feel emotionally unsafe. According to some brain imaging, social rejection hurts just like a physical injury. So feeling emotionally unsafe is not just something made up by a new generation of extra-sensitive people. It's part of our evolutionary design. Humans are social in nature. We tend to live in groups. And for thousands of years, we relied on relationships for our physical safety and, in fact, for our very survival. So if we weren't safe in our relationships, it was a matter of life and death. And we still carry the software to prove it. You can think of it as your emotional safety alert system. Physiologically, feeling unsafe emotionally can be as intense for our nervous system as when we might be in physical danger. And subjectively, it's deeply unpleasant. There's overlap, of course, between the different types of safety. A threat of physical violence can make us feel unsafe both physically and emotionally. But social threats to our safety are purely emotional. The threat of divorce, for example, or of having a secret exposed. Being in a room full of people who won't openly attack us but are likely to gossip and judge us behind our backs. Those are real threats to emotional safety. Even if there's no possibility of physical harm, we still experience not being safe, and that is stressful. Being unwillingly estranged from your own adult child or children might be making you feel emotionally unsafe. Which brings us to a point that lies near the center of the knot in the knotty problem of unwanted estrangement from adult children. And that is this. Rejected parents typically seek safety through restoring closeness, while estranged adult children are seeking safety in distance. Understanding estrangement as a function of emotional safety will be a paradigm shift for many parents. And it's a big enough topic and complex enough that I'm not going to be able to do it justice in a brief podcast episode. So I'll just offer some thoughts about basic emotional safety and encourage you to continue exploring the concept on your own. I'll see if I can find a link or two for the show notes to help you get started. To begin with, it's my opinion that it's impossible to create emotional safety for someone else when you yourself are not safe. It would be like someone who's drowning trying to save another person who's also drowning. It's just not likely to go well. If you become aware that your adult child doesn't yet feel safe being close again, then ensuring a reasonable level of emotional safety for yourself first might be a good next step. How do you know if you're emotionally safe? For some people, they've been unsafe for so long they don't know what safety feels like. Or they may think they're safe even in unsafe conditions. So here are some possible indications that your own emotional safety may not yet be secure. These are ordinary everyday circumstances. You don't have to be in an extreme or overtly dangerous situation to lack sufficient emotional safety. Number 1, you're in a relationship with a partner who doesn't share their feelings or validate yours. Number 2, you don't have anyone you can be completely honest with about your most secret thoughts and emotions. Number 3, you're living with ongoing betrayal, ridicule, or neglect. Or number 4, you're uncomfortable with the idea of boundaries in relationships. Those are just 4 examples of situations in which emotional safety might be improved. Addressing insufficient safety in current relationships can eventually help you not only stay afloat, but gradually build a dock where you can give others a hand up beside you to safe emotional ground. No one is obligated to try to create emotional safety for other adults, not even parents of adult children, as far as I'm concerned. It has to be a personal decision, because building emotional safety can be a massive, long-term job involving upheaval and change and unintended consequences. And to be realistic, it's impossible for any of us to feel emotionally safe at all times. So it's also not a panacea. However, being safe yourself, enjoying a feeling of emotional safety as often as possible with as many people in your life as possible, may not only increase your quality of life, but it may also increase emotional safety for others around you as a side effect. So let's talk about some ways to do that. Here are a token 10 pointers toward emotional safety for you to explore further on your own. And this is not a perfect list, it's just some ideas. Number 1, be trustworthy. Keep your word. Never betray a confidence. And don't tell your own secrets to people who can't be trusted. Number 2, never argue with how someone feels, even when that person is yourself. Number 3, avoid judgment and criticism of yourself and others. Few of us feel truly safe when we're being judged. Number 4, be empathetic. You may not fear the same things I fear or agree with me about how scary something is, but you know what it's like to be afraid, and you can tell me that. Number 5, don't expect anyone to be unfailingly logical or rational, including yourself. Reason is valuable, but emotions also have value and wisdom. They deserve a place at the table. Number 6, express yourself using I statements. Rather than saying, "You're being mean," say, "I feel hurt by what you said." Number 7, respect psychological and physical boundaries, both your own and others. If you're not sure what that looks like, there are many books and articles on the subject of boundaries. Number 8, don't avoid conflict, but do avoid shaming and blaming anyone, including yourself. Number 9, focus on the commonalities, not the differences between people. We humans are all more alike than we are different. And number 10, choose love whenever you can. There's no defense against it. Remember, it's nearly impossible to create emotional safety for someone else when you yourself are not safe. That's why reconnection starts with you, the parent, reconnecting to yourself, your experience, and your own true level of emotional safety. Not as a substitute for working on your relationship with an estranged adult child, but as a foundational part of that work. Until next time, remember that you are a loving, lovable, and still growing human being. So please take good care of yourself. Bye for now. If you've enjoyed this episode of the Reconnection Club podcast, I invite you to check out reconnectionclub.com. The Reconnection Club is for parents at any stage of estrangement from their adult, child, or children. So whether you've just realized there's trouble between you, you've been living with estrangement for years, or you're newly reconciled but still walking on eggshells, the Reconnection Club is your essential resource for information, support, and continued personal growth. With our courses and workshops, expert interviews, monthly Q&A calls, and a friendly, active community, the Reconnection Club is a wonderful place to be for anyone suffering the pain of estrangement from an adult, child, or children. So check it out at reconnectionclub.com.